are grateful for your attendance this morning here to celebrate this auspicious occasion. We're grateful that the weather is so beautiful this morning that we can all be here on the steps of the Utah State Capitol building. My name is Nylan McBain. I am the co-founder and CEO of Better Days 2020. And we are here today to explain Better Days 2020, the illustrious history that our organization celebrates and promotes, and specifically to announce a very exciting development in our popularization of Utah women's history, specifically the Utah license plate that has been introduced at DMVs this week. So I'm going to say a few words about the history of women voting here in Utah and our women's history in general. And I will be introducing Better Days 2020, explaining our projects and what we do. I'll be introducing my team and some members of our advisory board. And lastly, I will be describing the license plate and how to get the license plate. On the morning of February 14th, 1870, Sarah Young, who's standing beside me here, a school teacher in Salt Lake City, approached the Council Hall building, which was the territorial home of the Utah Territorial Legislature. She and 26 other women cast ballots that morning in a municipal election, which was the first time a woman legally cast a ballot in the modern United States. Wyoming's territorial legislature granted women the right to vote 3 months earlier, but it was on February 12, 1870, that Utah's territorial legislature granted their women the right to vote as well. I'm holding here a summation of the legislative proceedings from 1870, which includes the debates and the conversation that occurred among our territorial legislature in which they decided to give Utah women the right to vote in 1870. 2 days later, Sarah Young and the 26 other women cast those ballots. In fact, we had 2 elections before Wyoming women voted later in 1870. But this is not the end of Utah's leadership in women's advancement in 19th century America. Utah women voted for 17 years following this first vote in 1870. They briefly had the vote taken away from them by the federal government as statehood and issues of polygamy were worked out between the federal government and the state and the territorial legislature here in Utah. But upon statehood in 1895 and 1896, Utah regained the right for its women to vote. And in 1896, in the first election open to female candidates, Dr. Martha Hughes Cannon, who's here to my left, ran against and beat her own husband in the race, making her the first female state senator elected anywhere in the nation. Other women, such as Emmeline B. Wells, also played an important role in women's advancement here in Utah in the 19th century. Wells was Utah's leading suffragist, and in her work for women, she welcomed Susan B. Anthony to Utah on several occasions to come and speak here in the Tabernacle. She became such a good friend of Anthony's that Anthony bequeathed her gold ring to Wells on her deathbed as a symbol of their 40-year friendship. And Wells edited one of the longest-running suffrage newspapers in the country, the Woman's Exponent. Wells was actually present in August of 1920, right here on the steps of the Capitol building, when the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote, extending those voting rights to women throughout the country, was announced here in Utah. And this week marks the anniversary of Utah ratifying the 19th Amendment in 1919. The amendment was finally ratified by the 36th state, Tennessee, in 1920. 1870 and 1920 are 2 important anniversary dates that are approaching in our state history and in our nation's history. For that reason, Better Days 2020 was organized to draw attention to Utah's incredible legacy of women's advancement and to encourage us here in Utah to do a better job of honoring that legacy as we move forward. Better Days 2020 is joining other national groups that are already mobilizing to celebrate the centennial of the 19th Amendment. We are making sure that Utah's story is carried far and wide to those other groups and to other citizens of this nation, so that they know of our leadership in this area and our desire to be leaders in this area once again. With the team behind me, we have been able to roll out an educational curriculum that focuses on lesson plans for 4th and 7th grade Utah studies and 5th and 11th grade US studies. We've been able to combine this history and present it to the public in what we believe is really the first place where this history has been consolidated and presented in a popular medium. We're extremely proud of that. And before we get to the license plate, I'd like to introduce the team behind me, because it wouldn't be possible without them. We have our educational director. Sorry, I was going to go in order, but now I don't know.
Step forward, raise your hand.
Okay, we have, let's see. We have our director of history, our historical director, Catherine Kitterman. We have our co-founder and COO, Mandy Grant. We have our legislative director, Jen Christensen. We have our director of mission making, Lee Reck. We have our director of governance and finance, Kristen Edwards, and our director of education, Naomi Watkins. And our director of education, Naomi Watkins. I'll tell you why I forgot that in just a minute. I have something else in my brain. We also have members of our advisory board here today. We have Karen Hale from the Salt Lake County Mayor's office here. We have Xandra Anderson, who is the chair of our governing board. We have Ron Fox, who's on our governing board, and we have the co-chair of our advisory board, Attorney General Sean Reyes, here with us today. So before I turn the time over to Attorney General Reyes for some comments, we're going to describe briefly the license plate, which you see in front of me here. This license plate was made possible through the legislative efforts of Senator Deidre Henderson, who couldn't be with us here today because she's in her district of Woodland Hills preparing for flooding. So we excuse her today on such a good cause, but are grateful to her for passing this legislation that allowed us to have the special license plate available in DMVs now. This license plate says Utah Women First to Vote, commemorating the first vote that took place in the Council Hall building behind me. It also is in the shape of a suffrage banner, the common shape of the banners that the women held here in Utah and throughout the nation as they petitioned from 1848 to 1920 in one of the longest causes of social justice in our country's history. Through parades and through picketing and through demonstrations, they carried these banners demanding their right to participate in the political arena. It features the colors that were indicative of the suffrage movement, purple and yellow. The yellow is reminiscent of the yellow roses worn by legislators across the country as they showed their support for the ratification of the 19th Amendment. And we were grateful to have our legislature show similar support this last session by wearing yellow roses as well. So this license plate is available at DMVs now. It's available if you go to a DMV in person, and it's available online. You can order the special license plate either at a DMV in person or online. All you need is the last 4 digits of your car's VIN number, and it's a $20 charge, and the license plate will be mailed to your home. To be clear, anybody can purchase this license plate, whether you have a car already that's registered in the state of Utah, or whether you're buying a new car. All that's required is to go online, to request the license plate, to pay the $20, and it will be mailed to you, and you can simply replace it on your car. So we really encourage everybody to do this. This is really at the heart of our effort to popularize Utah women's history. What better way to get the message out than on the back of a car that we stare at all day long, wherever we are, and also to take that message across state lines so that others in other states, surrounding states throughout the nation, can also know of our illustrious history and how proud we are of Seraph Young, Emmeline Wells, Dr. Martha Hughes Cannon, and all of these leaders in our state's history. We'd also like to thank Rusty Clifton and his team at Remark Design Agency for the design of the plate. They did a tireless job working with our team, and we had wonderful submissions from other design agencies and other individual designers as well that made the decision very difficult. But we're thrilled with the results, and we invite all of you to join us in this effort to promote our history, to promote a greater awareness of our foundations as a state, and to order your license plate today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nyland. In case you didn't hear her, order your license plate today. If you are here and you order it, I will subsidize the cost of your license plate. If you have friends or you want to order it another day, tell them about it, and Mike Maurer will subsidize that going forward over the next few weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, it was, not even 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago, I sat in a room with Nyland McBain and Mandy Grant, who were telling me about this incredible program, initiative, movement that they wanted to start. And they had an organization called Better Days 2020, and at first I listened with some curiosity, and as they began to explain what their vision was, I listened with more intent, with more interest, and I have to say, over the last 2 years, working with them, they're incredible leaders, and the team of leaders that they have amassed, it has been one of the great honors of my life. And now I have a tremendous amount of admiration for what not only they had envisioned, but what they've accomplished. If you think about in 2 years, everything that they've done, the education programs, not just awareness publicly, but substantive education, to get that into curricula that are in our classrooms is remarkable. A walking tour that they're creating downtown, legislation that they've worked on. They've really changed the dialogue in our state a great deal. And not only have they reminded us here in Utah about our DNA of leadership when it comes to women leaders, they've inspired people around the country and even around the globe with this movement. So I want to pay tribute to Nyland, to Mandy, to every one of the leaders here, and to all of their other team for the work that they've done. People ask me all the time, what is that crazy thing that you're involved with, Better Days 2020? And I try to explain to them because I have a hard time remembering every single initiative that they have. It's so comprehensive. So I say, let me just tell you a story. My daughter, who's now 16, a few years ago, she was probably 8 at the time, we had signed her up for a T-ball league. She excitedly, in her first game, put herself defensively at the position of pitcher, and the first hit that came to her, she grabbed, and as the young player was running towards first, she ran over excitedly, tagged him out, and said, probably with not the greatest sportsmanship, "You're out." Well, the league refs came and said, "Kalia, there are no outs in this league, and he gets to go to first base." So she was a little upset. She had 2 older brothers who taught her how to play baseball, but she went back to her position at pitcher. The next person came up and batted a little grounder. She picked that up, ran over to tag the kid that was running from first to second and remind him that he was still out, and then ran over to first to step on the plate and say, "He's out too." Once again, they came and explained to her, and they said, "Kalia, in here, there are no outs. Everybody wins in this league." And she said, "Or everybody loses. I don't understand, if you can't get any outs, how anybody really wins." She's like, "I just want a chance to show everybody what I can do." She was, I think, rightfully a little bit upset about that. And of course, the league was trying to determine outcomes, make sure that that was the way that people saw equality. What I love about Better Days is that that's not what they're about. They're about just reminding us of our heritage and our history, and letting young women today, and women and senior women, just have their chance to show what they can do. Because everybody wants the opportunity to win. That's what the American dream is about. No guarantees of outcome or success, but a guarantee of opportunity. That's what these pioneer leader women strove so hard for. It's what they sacrificed for. It's what in many ways they gave their lives for. And it's what Better Days 2020 stands for today. A final thought, because in my mom's culture of Hawaii, in the Pacific Islands, it's a very matriarchal society. And I loved growing up hearing the stories of one of our great leaders, one of my ancestors, King Kamehameha Mo'i. he was the one that united the Hawaiian Islands, but in doing that, he had a great battle to try to get everybody together. And in one pivotal battle there, in the Battle of Iao Valley, Kamehameha was severely outnumbered, and his generals came to him and said, Chief, he said, we need to retreat. Let's get out of here and let's fight another day. And instead, he said, no, I feel like we need to make a stand here. And this is what I love about it. He had male warriors, female warriors together on the battlefield. And he called out to his brothers and his sisters in arms. And he said, we must all come forward right now. He said, let us taste of the bitter waters of battle, but there's no turning back. In Hawaiian, imua, come forward. Imua ina poki'i, e ina ikawai ava ava. And I'm proud that in this early movement, there were many Pacific Island women who were leaders in this. But that's the message, at least for me. Come forward now, today. There's no time to wait. And we really ought not to be too obsessed about what's the injustices of the past. Here's a thought, a final closing thought. They attribute this quote to a number of different philosophers. I'm not exactly sure who said it. But it's, I think it was Thoreau, I'm trying to recall. They say, what lies before us or in front of us and what lies behind us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. What lies before us and behind us, tiny compared to what lies within us. And when what lies within us is the spirit that Better Days 2020 represents, a commitment to remember, to honor, and a commitment for opportunity, that is what's critical. And if we focus on that, the rest will take care of itself. The future will be better for us. Better days, not only in the future, but better days right now, today. Thank you all for your support here. Keep sending the message out. Buy a license plate, call Mike Maurer, and make sure that you've got yours. God bless each of you, and thank you again to all of you for the example and the inspiration that you've been to us. Thank you.